I caught my wife cheating with another man and I am utterly devastated. My wife and I have been married for 8 years, together for 10. We have been through thick and thin. She is my best friend and the love of my life. We don't have any kids. We wanted them, but it wasn't in the cards for us. Today, during my lunch break, I decided to explore a new area, to try out a different place. As I strolled along the sidewalk, I saw my wife stepping out of a coffee shop across the street with a man I recognized from her work. They were smiling and chatting, and then the man slipped his arm around her waist, pulling her closer, leaned in and kissed her. And she kissed him back. I froze, unable to process what I was seeing. In that moment, everything around me faded into a blur. I stood there, barely believing what I was seeing. This couldn't be happening. I wanted to scream, to run across the street and demand an explanation, but I couldn't move. It was as though I was anchored to the pavement. As they turned to walk away, still caught up in their own world, I realized they didn't even see me. A jarring mix of hurt and betrayal pierced through the shock. I can't wrap my mind around what I saw. I love this woman more than life itself. I have given her all of me. I have loved her unconditionally. I am crushed. Gutted. I can't remember how the rest of the day went after that. It was all a blur. I couldn't face going back home to face her, so I told her I needed to stay at a friend's house tonight because he's going through a rough time and could use the support. She bought it. I am sleeping in my car tonight. My world is falling apart, and I don't know what to do now. Last night was one of the hardest nights of my life. I spent it in the car, needing space to process everything. A hotel wasn't an option for reasons I've explained elsewhere. Knowing my wife's routine and that she leaves for work before I do, I returned home in the morning after she had already left to shower and change before heading to work myself. Where I'm at mentally, I feel deeply hurt and betrayed. All night, I couldn't stop thinking about the life we've built together and how it now feels destroyed. I've been trying to recall any red flags I might have missed. I'm at a loss because we've always been good at talking through everything. Recently, though, she's been busier at work, which has led to less communication between us, but I didn't see it as a major issue at the time. A few months ago, she mentioned missing the excitement in our relationship. We talked about it and agreed that this is normal in long-term relationships, and we committed to taking steps to bring that spark back. We've followed through, aside from occasional busy periods. I take care of myself, and I think I'm an interesting person and a good husband, so I'm left wondering if she sought excitement elsewhere. That's the only explanation I can come up with, and it makes me incredibly angry. Right now, I'm feeling 80% hurt and 20% angry, but I know the anger will grow in the coming days and weeks. As for the guy, I only know his name, and that he works closely with my wife on a new project. I assume he'll be part of the upcoming work trip too. She's never mentioned him beyond that, and I have no idea if he's married or in a relationship. Here's what I'm planning to do next. 1. I've already spoken to a few divorce lawyers, and while I live in a fault-based location, proving adultery in court can be a long and expensive process. Also, we need to be separated before filing for divorce. 2. Tonight, I plan to go home and act like I don't know anything, which will be difficult, so I can gather more information about the extent of her relationship with this guy. When I confront her, I'll reveal one thing I've found out and see if she'll admit the rest. I also want to learn more about the colleague. If he has a partner, she deserves to know as well. The challenge here is I'm not sure how to gather more details. Some have suggested getting a PI, but that feels extreme. If anyone has experience with this or other ways to get more information, I'd appreciate your input. I'm also not sure how I'll feel once I know everything. I've always said I wouldn't forgive cheating, but I still love my wife. Maybe once I have all the facts, I'll see things differently and be ready to move forward with separation and divorce. 3. I've opened a new bank account and applied for a new credit card. I've updated HR of the account information to ensure my paycheck is deposited into the new account. Over my dead body will I let her spend any more of my money on him, if that's what she's been doing. 4. I'm going to use work as an excuse to avoid intimacy with her. Honestly, throwing myself into work and handling these next steps will help keep me from losing my mind. 5. Therapy will come later. For now, it's easier to type this all out than to speak about it. Talking about it aloud would make it too real, and I'm not ready for that yet. I also don't want any friends or family to know about this for now. Speaking with lawyers was different because it felt more practical. 6. I will reach out to my doctor to request the STI tests. A few other points to make. My wife and I don't have typical jobs. We sometimes work at the office, but we also spend a lot of time meeting clients at various locations. So, we spend a lot of time commuting, which means grabbing coffee/lunch on the go. We work in a large metropolitan area, and we've never crossed paths during the day until yesterday. It so happened that yesterday, during one of my commutes, I happened to be at a location a little further out, which is why I decided to grab lunch in that area. Some people took issue with my writing style. Writing has always been an outlet for me, and it helps me process my feelings. I will leave it at that. My wife and I know each other's Reddit usernames, so I didn't post this on my main account, where she could see it. This is a sub she doesn't visit, so it's unlikely she'll come across this. But if she does, then fuck it. It is what it is. Last night, I checked her phone while she was in the shower. She had left her phone in the bedroom and it was not passcode protected. Maybe she thought I wouldn't check. Maybe she got too comfortable lying to my face. Either way, she made a mistake. I went through her phone and found the separate messaging app to communicate with him. And that's when everything unraveled. Their entire relationship was right there. There were thousands of texts, and even pictures, some lasting well into the night while I was asleep next to her. It wasn't just a fling. This has been going on for months. They've been meeting up regularly, coffee shops, hotels, client lunches. She's been calling him pet names. There was talk of missed moments and wishing for more time together. The worst part? She has been telling him things she used to say to me. Word for word. You make me feel alive. The exact phrase she used when we first started dating. That was our thing, and she recycled it for him. I felt physically sick. After years of being together, of building a life, that's how she sees it. Like everything we've built together meant nothing. I also found out the work trip she's going on next week was not just business. They've planned everything, dinners, hotel rooms, more alone time. She's treating this like some kind of romantic getaway with him, while I sit here like a fool. I thought I'd already hit my breaking point. I thought nothing could hurt worse than the betrayal I'd uncovered. But then I found out something that knocked the wind right out of me like a punch straight to the gut. I booked us a cabin for the weekend 2 months ago. It was an opportunity for us to reconnect, just the two of us. A day before the trip, she said her company needed her to drive to another city for the weekend to meet with clients, that it was urgent and she couldn't get out of it. She was so apologetic, especially because it was 24 hours out and non-refundable. She even promised she'd make it up to me. I remember telling her it was okay, that I understood. I even felt bad for her having to miss out on what I thought would be a special time for us. I didn't take the trip that weekend because I didn't want to go without her, and as annoying as it was, I accepted that the reservation had gone to waste. I found that she had sent the booking confirmation to him and nearly lost it. Then, I saw the photos. Walking by the lake. Sitting by the fireplace, wine glasses in hand. The weekend that was supposed to be about us became their little fantasy escape. I can't even describe how that felt. She canceled our trip to take him instead. I realized then the full extent of her betrayal and I lost it. I almost threw her phone across the room but I didn't because all the evidence was on there. When she finally came out of the shower, I couldn't pretend anymore and anyway she could tell something was very wrong. So, I confronted her. I asked her if there was something she needed to tell me. She said, no, but I could see the panic set in. I pressed harder, told her I knew everything. The emails, the lunches, the hotel stays. Her fucking affair. She started crying and apologizing. I asked her why she had done it. She said it was a mistake, that she got caught up in the excitement, that she missed the feeling of something new. I asked if she loved him. She said no, she loved me and wanted to be with me. I asked if she slept with him and she said yes. I told her how much she had destroyed me, how she shattered everything we built. I asked her if she ever thought about what this would do to me, to us. She just sat there, crying and apologizing over and over. I told her I was done, that there was no coming back from this. She begged for forgiveness. I told her to get out, to go be with him since she wanted him so badly. She broke down, insisting she didn't want him, that she wanted me, and she'd do anything to fix this. By then, it was almost midnight, so I told her to sleep in the guest bedroom. She asked for her phone back, but I refused, saying I was holding on to it for now. When she tried to argue, I warned her, if she took the phone from me, I'd leave. She didn't want that, so I kept it. Once I was alone, I forwarded the entire thread of their messages to myself. I went through them in more detail. That's when I found out that the guy is married, too. There was no mention of kids, though. This morning, we barely acknowledged each other. No words were exchanged. I gave her the phone back, but I made it clear, if she goes on her work trip, she'll come back to an empty house. She promised she wouldn't go. She apologized again, but I wasn't ready to hear it. After she left for work, I broke down. For the first time since this all started, I cried. I am coming to realize that my marriage is a sham, so this will be my last update on this sub. Tomorrow, I will go to the guy's house. I found his address from her Google Maps recent history. I have printed the message thread between them along with the pictures and will be giving them to his wife, who is unaware of what is going on as far as I know. I will also face this man who quite literally destroyed my life. I am done playing nice. I caught my wife cheating with another man and I am utterly devastated. Part 2. I told his wife. First thing this morning, I went over to his house. She was home, but he wasn't. It worked out better this way because it gave me a chance to talk to her without him there to deny it. When I told her, at first, she didn't believe me. She kept saying I had the wrong guy. But then I showed her the texts, the photos, everything. I could see the devastation hit her like a ton of bricks. She was completely blindsided. I apologized, told her I wish I didn't have to be the one to tell her, but I thought she had a right to know. She thanked me and I gave her my number in case she wanted to talk or needed anything. They've only been married for a year. No kids. When I got home, my wife was furious with me. Apparently, the wife called her husband, and he called mine to tell her what I'd done. My wife was angry, not about the mess she caused, but because I'd outed her affair. I couldn't believe it. She was more worried about her affair partner's reaction than what she had done to me. And then it got worse. This man who destroyed both of our marriages, had the nerve to come to my house, banging on my door like a lunatic. I opened it, trying to stay calm, but I was fuming. He started yelling, accusing me of ruining his marriage. The sheer audacity. I told him to get off my property, that if he wanted to blame someone, he should look at himself and my wife, not me. He was yelling obscenities at me. I didn't want to get physical with him. I turned to my wife and said, "You brought this trash into our lives, get him off my front porch," and started to go back inside. She tried to get him to leave, but that's when things took a turn. He grabbed her arm, shoved her, and she fell. At that moment, something snapped inside me. I'm not a violent man, but seeing him put his hands on her, in spite of everything, sent me over the edge. I restrained him, warned him that if he ever set foot near my house or touched my wife again, I'd call the police. He panicked and left. Before I went back inside, I turned to my wife and asked, "This is the man you chose over me? I will never forgive you for the position you've put me in." She just stood there, staring at me in shock. For the first time since this nightmare started, I saw it on her face, like it had finally hit her. The damage, the betrayal, the mess she'd made. She collapsed on the ground, sobbing. I still can't wrap my head around how she destroyed our lives for that guy. I've asked her to leave the house, but she refuses. I can't stand being in her presence, so I'm considering staying at my close friend's place for a while. I am meeting him tonight for a drink to tell him everything. Last night, I met up with my best friend for drinks. After reading the advice from many of you suggesting I steer clear of alcohol for now, I decided to drive to avoid the temptation. My wife knew where I was going, and she was concerned about what people in our community might think if they found out what she did, but she also said she was happy I had someone to talk to, since she knew I was hurting deeply. Finally being able to talk to someone about everything lifted a weight off my shoulders, but at the same time, it felt like the full reality of my situation hit me all over again. It's devastating, really. When I got home, it was late, but she was still awake, watching our wedding video, and I could tell she had been crying. Seeing that set me off. I got angry, asking her why she was even bothering to watch it, accusing her of trying to manipulate me. She said that wasn't her intention, that for months she had felt like she was living in someone else's body, but now she was finally realizing how badly she had messed up. She said she watched the video because she just wanted to see us during a time when we were happy. I told her it's a shame she didn't realize how good we had it, how happy I was with her. I thought she felt the same way. She broke down, saying she had been stupid not to appreciate what she had right in front of her. I'm usually strong-willed, and I don't waver easily, but this whole situation has broken me. And I'm not proud of what happened next. She hugged me, kissed me, and I let her. But just before it went any further, I caught myself. I pulled back and told her this wasn't going to work, that she couldn't possibly believe I could just forgive everything she did. She said she understood but wanted to talk. So, we sat down, and we talked for hours. I asked her why she did it, and she said she had been thinking about that all day. She wasn't sure why exactly, but she admitted she missed the excitement in our relationship. I told her I already knew that we had talked about it before and agreed to make more of an effort, more date nights, less work. But she said it wasn't enough. She said there were times I'd cancel date nights for work, and that made her feel like an afterthought. I owned up to my part in things but reminded her that none of it justified what she did. She agreed, but she wanted me to know what led her to make those choices. Then, I told her how I found out. She looked shocked, thinking I had only discovered the affair by going through her phone. I told her I saw her kissing him outside the coffee shop. She was floored. I asked how it started. She said it had been going on for months. They worked closely together with a group of people, and he was always friendly, but nothing inappropriate at first. Then, when I'd cancel plans, she'd sometimes join her colleagues at the pub after work. He picked up on it, asking her why I canceled, and it started there. One night after a few drinks, they stayed behind while the others left, and he told her if he were married to her, he'd never cancel a date. They kissed, she immediately regretted it, and took an Uber home, even though he offered to drop her off. After that, things got more subtle but continued. Eventually, they worked late nights together on a project, and things escalated. I just sat there, listening. I told her I was devastated when I saw that she'd taken him on the trip I had planned for us. She said she was mad at me after an argument we had and took the trip with him out of spite. She knows now how messed up that was and wishes she could undo it all. I know I made mistakes, too. We both have demanding jobs, and I took some things for granted, but I always tried to make it up to her. She acknowledged that but said she still felt like she wasn't a priority. I asked if she fell in love with him. She swore she didn't, that she just liked the attention he gave her. She wanted to know where my head was at. I told her I was heartbroken, that I never imagined we'd be here. We always communicated, but it turns out we weren't talking about the right things. I reminded her that cheating was a deal breaker for me, she knew that. She said she understood if I wanted a divorce but hoped I might give her a chance to make things right. I'm not sure if I'm being a fool, but I told her I hadn't decided yet. I made it clear that if we were going to attempt reconciliation, there would be conditions. I told her she had to cut off all contact with him, she agreed, write down every detail of their relationship, every kiss, every trip, every time they were intimate, and if I found out she left anything out, I would leave immediately, she agreed. I also told her she had to tell our friends and family what she did. There was some hesitation, but she eventually agreed, and start individual counseling to figure out why she did this, she agreed. In the meantime, I've scheduled a meeting with a divorce lawyer next week to understand my options, because I don't want to be caught off guard again. I don't plan on telling her this. Earlier today, the guy's wife messaged me. She asked if I'd be willing to meet her later to talk. I agreed. My wife knows, but she isn't happy about it. And for the record, my wife knew he was married all along. Apparently, he told her that his wife had changed after they got married, was treating him badly and refused to have sex with him, and that he was planning to divorce her. I'm starting to realize this guy might have been lying the entire time just to sleep with my wife. At this point, I'm emotionally and physically drained. I am getting a divorce. I met AP's wife, OBS, at a park. It was awkward at first, but she was grateful I had told her about the affair. She said she had been going through her husband's phone, computer, and emails and she found something. It was a sex video of him and my wife. In my bedroom. On our bed. I could only watch a few seconds of it before I had to stop. It was disgusting. OBS apologized, but I thanked her for showing it to me. Everyone in the comments was right. My wife's character is deeply flawed, and the level of disrespect she has shown me in our marriage is unforgivable. I think I already knew that on some level, but I hadn't been ready to admit it to myself. This pushed me over the edge. OBS and I talked a bit more, but out of respect for her, I won't go into the details of what she said. Suffice it to say, her husband is a lying piece of shit who fed my wife a bunch of garbage about his wife. OBS is planning to separate and divorce him, and I told her I'd be doing the same with my wife. We wished each other luck and went our separate ways. When I pulled into my driveway, a car pulled up behind me. It was AP. The fucking idiot was waiting for me. I called the police to report trespassing before getting out of the car. He got out and started yelling at me, asking why I was meeting his wife, and what I was playing at. I ignored him and started walking into my house. He followed me inside, still yelling. I don't believe in violence, but in this case, it was necessary. I kicked him out of my house with a bloody nose and possibly bruised ribs. By the time the police arrived, he was gone, but I filed a report and gave them his address. I'm planning to follow up on a restraining order with my lawyer next week. I messaged OBS to give her a heads up about what happened. She was surprised he even knew we met. She told me she hadn't told him about our meeting, and in fact, she had kicked him out of the house yesterday. I figured my wife must have told him. Conveniently, my wife wasn't home for the shit show. When she did get home, I told her she should check in on her boyfriend, as the last I saw him, he didn't look so good. I also warned her that next time, I'd break his legs. She looked shocked and confused. I told her I knew she was the one who tipped him off about my meeting with OBS. She denied it at first, but then admitted she just didn't want OBS to fill my head with lies and hoped AP would convince her not to meet with me. And I finally saw her for the manipulative woman she was. I told her to pack her things and move into the basement. She had until tomorrow morning. We co-own the house, so I can't kick her out, but I don't want to see her. I told her to use the basement entrance from now on and only contact me about our divorce proceedings via text or email. Oh, and I told her to take the mattress with her because I'll be buying a new one for myself. She looked confused. I said, yeah, I know about the sex video. The look on her face was priceless. I am currently staying at my friend's place tonight. I'll be back in the morning to make sure she's moved into the basement. This marriage is over. There will be no reconciliation. I've made my decision. I'll be moving forward with the divorce, and I'm ready to start focusing on my own healing. I caught my wife cheating with another man, part 3. After my soon-to-be ex-wife left to stay at her parents' house on Monday morning, I decided to reach out to them later that day. I told them everything, her affair, our separation, all the ugly details. They were shocked. Apparently, she had only told them we had a fight, completely leaving out the actual reasons. They were understandably upset, but they respected my decision to end things. I also informed my own parents and a few close friends. They were equally surprised and hurt by what she had done, and all of them were furious with her. Since then, my soon-to-be ex-wife has been blowing up my phone with text after text, apologizing endlessly. She keeps telling me she loves me, that she wishes she could undo everything, begging me not to throw away our entire relationship over what she calls a stupid mistake. Some of her friends have even reached out, telling me that she is spiraling, that she knows she made a huge mistake, and that I should at least talk to her, considering the years we've been together. I ended up sharing a few details with her friends, like how she took her affair partner on a trip I had planned for the two of us. They were horrified when they heard that and did not have much more to say. I met with my lawyer earlier this week. Initially, it was scheduled for later in the week, but I managed to move it up. I wanted to address everything quickly, especially given the rising tensions with her affair partner. I found out that the province I live in is a no-fault divorce location, meaning the affair cannot be used as grounds for proving adultery in court. My lawyer advised that the most efficient and cost-effective way forward would be to proceed with separation now and then file for divorce in a year. Although I could file for an adultery-based divorce sooner, it would take just as long, if not longer, and would come at a much greater cost. My soon-to-be ex-wife has not returned from her parents' house, so I went ahead and packed up her belongings and moved them down to the basement. I changed the locks on the main house to make the separation feel more concrete, more real. Additionally, I installed a security camera at the front entrance. Meanwhile, the situation with her affair partner has continued to escalate. I have been in touch with his wife throughout the week, and she told me her husband has been acting erratically. He has sent her threatening messages and has shown up at her home, demanding to talk. She has taken the necessary legal steps to protect herself, as have I. Because of the legal actions in progress, I cannot share many details, but suffice it to say that she no longer feels safe in her own home. Her family is in a different province, and she does not have close friends here since they only moved less than a year ago. Given her situation, I offered her a place to stay temporarily at my house, with approval from my lawyer. She is currently in my guest bedroom. As for myself, I am still in a state of disbelief. It feels like I have been dropped into someone else's life. So much has happened in such a short span of time, and I am struggling to process it all. My friends have been amazing, spending time with me and offering support ever since they heard the full story. The other betrayed spouse and I have also been helping each other process what happened, but I do have some concerns that we may be leaning on each other too heavily. I recognize that relying on her so much could lead to emotional complications we are not prepared for. I do not think I have truly started processing all of this yet with everything else going on, but I can feel a breaking point coming. I am scheduled to start therapy in 2 weeks. Thank you to everyone who offered advice. The other betrayed spouse is staying with me for now, but we both understand this is only temporary. She plans to return to her home once things calm down. Some people have suggested that our living arrangement could complicate things further, potentially leading to trauma bonding or even intimacy. I cannot deny that her presence has been comforting since she is the only one who truly understands the depths of what I am going through right now. My confidence has taken a serious hit, and I do not fully understand what my wife saw in her affair partner. I do not think he is more attractive than me, so now I am left wondering if he was somehow better in other ways. Honestly, the thought of sleeping with someone else out of anger and for validation has crossed my mind more than once. I am not sure how the other betrayed spouse feels, but I am aware I am in a vulnerable state and am trying to avoid making any impulsive decisions. Safety remains a top concern for both myself and the other betrayed spouse. We are continuing with legal action, and in the meantime, I have installed a security system and remain vigilant. Fortunately, the layout of my house keeps the main living area completely separate from the basement, so I do not expect any awkward encounters between my soon-to-be ex-wife and the other betrayed spouse when my wife eventually returns from her parents' place. My wife has been staying at her parents' house all week, and every day she has been sending me messages trying to win me back. I have been reading them but staying silent, constantly reminding myself that her words are empty. The I love yous, the I am sorries, and all the promises of change books she is reading, podcasts she is listening to mean absolutely nothing to me. It is exhausting. Some days, it has taken every ounce of willpower not to give in to her manipulative tactics, but I keep reminding myself of the reality of her actions. This afternoon, she sent me a photo from when we were together, a selfie of us cuddling in bed, taken right after we said I love you for the first time. Her message that followed read: "Look how happy we were. Please do not throw our relationship away over my stupid mistake. I lost it." Seeing that photo felt like she was rubbing salt into the wound, and her message felt like she was shifting the blame onto me for ending our marriage. I replied, telling her exactly how I felt. I wrote, "How dare you blame me? You were the one who threw it all away the moment you started the affair, brought him into our bed, and took him on the trip I had planned for us. Those were all decisions you made, leading to the end of our marriage. Then I went down to the basement, took a picture of her belongings and the mattress I had moved down there, and sent it to her. I told her not to bother coming to the front door when she returned, as I had already changed the locks. Then I blocked her. I am done. My life feels like it has turned into a circus. After everything that has happened, I did not want to post here anymore. But this platform has been one of the few places I feel I can vent, a place where I can try to process this chaotic mess my life has become. On Sunday, I decided to call my wife's best friend. She had been in contact with me, telling me my wife was spiraling and encouraging me to talk to her. I shared some details with her about the affair partner, explaining how he came to our house and angrily confronted me for exposing the affair to his wife. I told her about his violent behavior toward my wife, including how he had grabbed and shoved her, and I mentioned that he had been harassing his own wife, who was now temporarily staying with me for her own safety. I wanted to share this information because I was genuinely concerned for my wife's well-being, and I thought her best friend might be able to look out for her. Her friend was shocked and thanked me for the information, saying she would inform my wife's parents as well. She assured me that my wife was no longer in contact with her affair partner, as she wanted to repair things with me. On Monday, while driving home from work, I received a message from an unknown number that read, "I know, the other betrayed spouse is staying at your house." I quickly messaged her, and she confirmed it was her husband's number. He had also sent her a similar message, along with a screenshot of an Amazon order confirmation that showed my address. She had forgotten to change her Amazon password, and they had shared an account. It appears he was still logged in on his computer. I have no idea how he got my phone number. Not long after this, my wife called me, demanding to know why the other betrayed spouse was at our house and accusing me of sleeping with her out of revenge. I asked her how she knew if she was supposedly no longer in contact with her affair partner. She said her friend had told her. I explained that the other betrayed spouse was only staying over because her husband had been harassing her, making her feel unsafe. My wife called me a liar and insulted the other betrayed spouse. I ended the call. Shortly afterward, her affair partner called me, demanding to know why the other betrayed spouse was staying at my house. He accused me of sleeping with her. I found it remarkable that both he and my wife had jumped to the same conclusion. I stayed firm, reiterating that his issues with her were none of my concern and that I was merely offering her a place to stay because of his harassment and her lack of alternatives. As the conversation escalated, I made it clear I would not tolerate any threats or aggressive behavior from him and warned him that if he showed up at my house, I would call the police and have him arrested. Later that night, my wife's best friend called me, furious and accusing me of lying and manipulating her. She said that after speaking to my wife about her affair partner, my wife had told her I was making everything. I caught my wife cheating with another man. Part 4. I got a no-contact order against the affair partner. My soon-to-be ex-wife's affair partner showed up at my house, banging on the door loudly, yelling, and threatening to break down my door. The neighbors started coming out to see what was going on. His voice was slurred, and it was obvious he was drunk. He had driven over to my house while intoxicated. I did not say anything, I did not step out, and I did not engage with him. I simply called the police. The police showed up, and given his drunken state, he was aggressive and uncooperative, so they put him in handcuffs. After his arrest, I spoke to one of the officers and explained the whole situation, how he had been harassing the other betrayed spouse and showing up unannounced, despite her trying to cut contact. I also told them that he had been violent toward both me and my ex-wife. The officer said they would be taking him in for public intoxication and harassment. Since this was not the first time the affair partner had been warned, they told me that a no-contact order would be issued as part of his release conditions. He is now legally forbidden from contacting either me or the other betrayed spouse. If he tries anything again, he will be arrested on the spot. The entire incident was recorded by my security camera. I will add the footage to the compiled evidence I am putting together to send to all those so-called friends who called me a piece of garbage. Exposing my soon-to-be ex-wife. As many of you suggested, I have spent the last few days working to gather all the evidence I have of my soon-to-be ex-wife's manipulation, affair, and her affair partner's harassment, and I have compiled and organized them in chronological order. What I like to call my evidence pile includes 1. The wall of text between my soon-to-be ex-wife and the affair partner, which I had saved when I first found out about them. These are especially damning because the texts also mention the things they did to avoid their spouses, me and the other betrayed spouse, from finding out. 2. Pictures my soon-to-be ex-wife and the affair partner sent to each other, not nudes, but definitely suggestive. 3. Footage of the affair partner grabbing and shoving my wife, which I got from my neighbor's security camera. 4. Screenshots of texts between the other betrayed spouse and the affair partner, which she provided me, showing how he has been harassing her. 5. Footage from my security camera of the affair partner coming to my house and getting arrested. 6. Saving the best for last, my soon-to-be ex-wife's confession. I did not think I would be able to get a confession out of her, to be honest. But I guess she felt overconfident, having gotten away with her previous lying. Here is how the confession happened. My two best friends, who have stood in my corner in spite of her lies and slander, wanted to help expose her. We knew she would not meet with me to keep up the charade, so they pretended to have severed ties with me for being violent with her. My soon-to-be ex-wife fully believed them. My two friends then organized a night out with several of our larger group of friends, including her, to support her during this rough time, all the while maintaining their cover of their friendship fallout with me. When they went out, and as the night progressed, my soon-to-be ex-wife had one too many drinks, as did everyone else. My friends began prodding, asking how she managed to keep the affair under wraps. She revealed that one of the women in our friend group knew about the affair the entire time. And the worst part is that this friend, who had sometimes covered for her, was there at the gathering with her husband. Her husband was completely blindsided by this and furious, having had no idea that his wife had been helping cover up the affair. It became incredibly awkward, the husband left, and his wife followed him. My soon-to-be ex-wife was really drunk and oblivious to what she had done. The rest of the group got really upset by this and left as well. My two friends remained and continued prodding. They asked her what she planned to do now, and if she would start dating the affair partner publicly. She said no, she was done with him. When my friends asked why, she drunkenly admitted that the affair partner was physically violent with her. When my friends asked why she had lied and said I was the one who attacked her, she said she was scared of the affair partner and that he had been blackmailing her. All of this was recorded by my friends. I will note that she found out about the affair partner's arrest at my house from a neighbor who had messaged to check in on her following the ruckus the affair partner created the night he was arrested. My guess is she is backpedaling because of this. Also, I have no idea what he has on her to blackmail her with, if that is even true. Next, I created a text chain including her, her parents, my parents, and our group of friends who had been bad-mouthing me, and I sent them my evidence pile along with the following message. I never thought I would have to do this, but clearly, I have been giving too many people the benefit of the doubt. Since most of you had no problem jumping to conclusions and bad-mouthing me, it is time to set the record straight once and for all. The attachments show everything, and most importantly, proof that I never laid a hand on my wife. I have also discovered a video that my wife and her affair partner made while they were having sex in our home, in our marital bed. For obvious reasons, this video will not be shared. I left the group chat, blocked the numbers of all those friends, and I have no interest in knowing what they have to say or if they want to apologize to me. I just wanted to clear my name and get out. I then privately messaged her this. If you ever think about pulling something like this again, I will share all of that on Facebook and sue you for defamation. Going forward, you will not contact me. If you require something pertaining to the divorce, you can reach out to my lawyer at 108. My lawyer will be forwarding the separation agreement for you to sign soon. To be honest, doing this is so out of character for me, and I hate that it got to this, but she left me no choice. I had to take back control of the narrative. This may be my last update for a while, unless something unexpected happens, though I doubt it after the bombshell I just dropped. I am currently at the cottage, taking a much-needed break, and plan to stay here for a while. I have taken a week off work to process everything that has happened, since I have not really had the chance to do that until now. I did something stupid. I watched the sex video. I do not know why I did it, and I wish more than anything I could unsee it. Alone with my thoughts now, the weight of what my soon-to-be ex-wife has done is crushing me. I barely eat or sleep, and to be honest, I have been drinking more than I should. I feel empty and worthless, frequently wondering why she did this to me. People say that cheating is a reflection of the cheater's character, not the one betrayed, but I cannot help feeling that I must have been lacking something. Why else would she do this to me? If I had been enough, she would not have done this. Why was I not enough? I keep thinking about her affair partner. What does he have that I do not? He is a massive downgrade in every way, less successful, less fit, and a complete jerk. So, what did she see in this guy? Why was he worth destroying our marriage? I do not even know what I was hoping to find when I watched the sex video of them. Maybe I thought I would gain some insight into their relationship, or maybe I did it because I had been drinking. Whatever the reason, I regret it deeply. Until last night, I had only seen a few seconds of it when the other betrayed spouse shared it with me. But last night, I watched the entire video. All 4 minutes and 52 seconds of it. The things they did, the things she did for him, the things she let him do to her, she shared a level of intimacy with him that she never gave me. I am heartbroken. Shattered. Gutted. Watching it felt like a knife to my gut. We had conversations before about spicing things up in the bedroom. I even shared my fantasies with her. But she did not want anything beyond basic, traditional sex, and I respected that. I accepted it. I never brought it up again. But now, to see her doing these things with him, things she never let me touch, it is soul-crushing. I want to scream, to rage against the universe for this betrayal. I hope I never see him again, because I do not know if I will be able to stop myself from shredding him to pieces with my bare hands. I do not know how to process this, how to move on from this moment. All I know is that I am completely devastated, and the journey ahead feels impossibly dark. To make matters worse, when I finally fell asleep or possibly passed out from drinking, it was the early hours of the morning, and I missed my first therapy appointment. I caught my wife cheating with another man, part 5. A few days after the original poster's last update, the story took an unexpected turn. His wife, now referred to as his soon-to-be ex-wife, created a throwaway Reddit account and posted in the same subreddit. Her post quickly gained attention, as many followers of the original poster recognized striking similarities between her story and his. The original poster eventually confirmed her identity, and in an unprecedented twist, their real names were even revealed in the comments section. If anyone still has access to the link for that thread, please feel free to share it in the comments. For those who are new to the saga, here is a detailed recap of the soon-to-be ex-wife's post. Hello? I created this throwaway account for obvious reasons. I usually browse Reddit for different communities, but given my current situation, it seemed fitting to post here. As the title suggests, I, 35 years old, female, cheated on my husband, 37 years old, male. I cheated on him with a man I work with. I made a terrible, unforgivable mistake, and I am filled with regret. If I could undo what I did, I would, but I cannot. I know I have a long and difficult road ahead of me. I know I am not entitled to forgiveness, but I love my husband deeply, and I am willing to do anything to try and earn his forgiveness. My husband discovered my affair a few weeks ago. As expected, he was utterly devastated. Since then, things have been extremely complicated. Over a week ago, I moved out of our home and went to stay with my parents because my husband could not bear to have me near him. He specifically asked me to stay away, even in the basement. He has blocked me on all platforms, leaving me with no way to contact him directly. The only way I can communicate with him is through his friends, but they are understandably not my biggest supporters right now. In short, I desperately want to make things right with my husband, but I cannot even speak to him. This Monday is Thanksgiving in Canada. We originally planned to spend the holiday at my in-laws' house, where both my family and his family were invited. My in-laws, despite everything, have graciously allowed me and my parents to attend the dinner as originally planned. They have expressed that they see this as an opportunity to discuss my betrayal and for me to outline how I plan to make amends. To my knowledge, my husband will also be attending the dinner, but he is unaware that I will be there as well. I realize this might seem like a manipulative move, but my fear is that he will not show up if he knows I will be there. I want to take this opportunity to show him how serious I am about making things right. All I am asking for is a chance to be heard. I want him to listen to me and understand my remorse before he decides whether he still wants to proceed with separation and divorce. How can I go about doing this without causing further harm? If you have made it this far, thank you for reading. I will share the original poster's next update in the coming days, where he addresses what happened on Thanksgiving and how things have unfolded since then. Stay tuned. After my wife's post was discovered and her name, Hannah, along with her affair partner, Ryan, became public knowledge, maintaining anonymity no longer felt necessary. I will refer to them by their real names from now on. Thanksgiving was supposed to be a time of peace, but instead, it turned into a nightmare. Without informing me, my parents invited Hannah and her family to the dinner. Their reasoning? They believed it was time for us to discuss our issues as a family. They were upset that I had shared what happened with mutual friends and wanted us to handle things more privately. Hannah decided to attend, even after everything she had already put me through. When I saw her walk through the door, I felt blindsided. It was like the one place where I thought I could find solace was ripped away from me. Without saying a word, I left. I spent Thanksgiving alone at a bar, something I never thought I would do. My two closest friends were unavailable, one was at his in-laws' house, and the other was out of town, so I had no one to turn to. That night, I made a decision to cut off my parents. I cannot trust them right now, not when they continue to disregard my need for space and boundaries. Later in the week, I met with the husband of Hannah's friend. He had discovered his wife's infidelity during that disastrous group meetup where everything came to light. We talked about his decision to reconcile with his wife, mainly for the sake of their children. I have also started therapy in an attempt to piece my life back together. Returning to work has helped me regain some structure, but the nights are still difficult. I am ashamed to admit that I sometimes turn to drinking to numb the pain. I have not heard from Hannah or Ryan since Thanksgiving, but the last message received from Ryan still haunts me. He sent a cruel and twisted text, mocking me about the abortion that Hannah had while we were married. I reported it to the police, but they told me it would be difficult to trace since the message came from an untraceable number. While I have a security system, cameras, and a peace bond in place, I still feel uneasy. Knowing what kind of person Ryan is, it is hard to feel completely safe. The other betrayed spouse, Ryan's wife, returned from visiting her family recently. She had her mother move in with her for support. We have been in touch often, helping each other cope with the fallout of what our spouses have done to us. One evening, we met for dinner to talk about everything that had happened. During our conversation, she mentioned that Ryan had been laid off due to fraudulent activities at work. After dinner, she came back to my house to pick up some evidence I had collected for her legal case. Over a few glasses of wine, something unexpected happened. We kissed. One thing led to another, and we ended up spending the night together. The next morning, we talked about it. Neither of us regretted what happened, but we agreed that it was too soon to pursue anything romantic. We are both still navigating our separations, and the emotions are raw. However, that night gave us both a sense of validation and comfort that had been missing in our lives for a long time. The most shocking event happened just a few days ago. As I was leaving work and walking to my car in an underground parking lot, I was struck by a car in a hit and run. I lost consciousness and woke up in the hospital with several broken bones. When I opened my eyes, I saw Hannah and my parents by my bedside. Hannah was still listed as my emergency contact, which is how she was notified. I immediately told her to leave. She broke down, begging me to let her stay and take care of me, but I could not stand to look at her. My parents supported my decision and asked her to leave, which she eventually did. The police are investigating the hit and run. Security cameras in the parking lot were unfortunately non-functional, but nearby street cameras captured footage of the car as it left the area. The car matches the make and color of Ryan's vehicle. However, it is a common make and model, so it is not enough evidence to take any concrete action. I am now back home, trying to recover physically and emotionally. My parents have been helping me during this time, and I am grateful for their support despite the tension between us. While the hit and run could have been a random accident, I cannot shake the feeling that it may have been deliberate. For now, I remain cautious and vigilant. This entire ordeal has been exhausting, but I am determined to move forward, no matter how difficult it gets. The journey has been long, painful, and full of twists I never could have imagined when I first discovered my wife's affair. But as I sit here now, reflecting on everything that has happened, I can finally say that I have come out stronger on the other side. Ryan's downfall was inevitable. His arrogance, his cruelty, it all came crashing down when he broke into the other betrayed spouse's home. The moment he confessed to running me over, I knew the system would finally hold him accountable for everything he had done. Hearing about his sentencing brought me some closure. He is where he belongs, and I no longer have to live in fear of him lurking in the shadows. Hannah's father reaching out was unexpected. I respected him for wanting to share her remorse, but it did not change my decision. His words painted a picture of someone deeply regretful, yet her actions had already spoken louder than any apology ever could. Meeting him gave me clarity. Her remorse was not for me, it was for the consequences she now had to face. Forgiveness? Maybe one day, for my own peace. But reconciliation? Never. My own healing took time. Therapy, Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, and support from my loved ones kept me going through the darkest moments. The nights were the hardest, but little by little, I learned to let go of the anger and hurt. Accepting that I could never fully understand why she betrayed me helped me move forward. It was not my failure, it was hers. Reconnecting with the other betrayed spouse felt like the universe giving me a second chance at happiness. She and I had both endured so much pain, and it was comforting to find someone who truly understood. But what started as shared healing grew into something far deeper. She showed me what love should feel like: safe, supportive, and freeing. Now, 5 years later, life is completely different. We have built a life together full of trust and joy, welcoming our first child last month. Sometimes I look at our little family and marvel at how far I have come. The pain of the past will always be a part of me, but it no longer defines me. To everyone who has followed this journey, thank you. Sharing my story helped me heal in ways I never expected. If there is one thing I have learned, it is this: even when everything falls apart, there is hope for a brighter future. You just have to be brave enough to take the first step forward. This is my final post. Thank you all again. Take care, and never settle for anything less than the love you deserve.